There's a particular kind of procrastination that makes no sense. It's not putting off the dentist or the taxes or the email you've been dreading. Those, at least, you can explain. Nobody wants to do those things. This is different. This is putting off the thing you actually love. The story you've been dying to write. The song you keep meaning to finish. The workout that always makes you feel better afterward. The project that's genuinely yours. You want it. You think about it constantly. And still, somehow, you find yourself reorganizing a drawer, watching one more video, doing anything except the one thing you'd swear you care about most. So what is going on? Why do we run from the things we want? The answer is stranger and kinder than "you're just lazy." For most of our lives, we've been handed one explanation for procrastination: a lack of discipline. We're told we need more willpower, better time management, a colour-coded calendar, and a stronger spine. But here's the problem with that story. If procrastination were really about time management, then knowing exactly what to do and exactly how to do it would fix it. It doesn't. You can have all the time in the world, a clear plan and deep desire, and still not start. And if it were really about laziness, then we'd procrastinate by resting. But that's not what happens. We don't relax. We frantically clean the kitchen. We answer emails that don't matter. We do hard, boring, pointless tasks to avoid the one task that matters most. That's not laziness. Lazy people don't reorganize their entire bookshelf to avoid writing one paragraph. Something else is driving this. And once researchers stopped looking at the clock and started looking at our feelings, the whole thing finally made sense. Here is the shift that changes everything. Procrastination is not a time management problem. It's an emotion management problem. When you sit down to do the thing, even the thing you love, your brain doesn't just see the task. It feels everything attached to it. The fear that it won't be good enough. The pressure of how much it matters. The boredom of the boring middle part. The quiet dread that says, what if I try my best and it's still not enough? The task, in other words, comes wrapped in an uncomfortable feeling. And your brain, faced with that discomfort, does what brains are built to do. It looks for relief. So it pulls you towards something easy, something soothing. Your phone, a snack, a different, smaller task. In that moment, you're not avoiding the work. You're avoiding the feeling the work gives you. This is why we procrastinate hardest on the things we care about most. The more it matters, the bigger the feeling. The bigger the feeling, the more the brain wants to escape it. The things you love are the things most loaded with fear, because they're the things you can't bear to do badly. Procrastination is what avoidance looks like from the outside, but on the inside, it's just a search for emotional relief. But there's a second piece to this puzzle, and it lives deep in the architecture of the brain. Inside your head, two systems are constantly arguing. One is the limbic system, ancient, fast, emotional. It only cares about one thing: how you feel right now. It wants comfort, and it wants it immediately. The other is the prefrontal cortex, the newer, slower, planning part of your brain. It's the one that thinks about the future, the one that knows you'll feel better if you just start. When you procrastinate, the emotional brain wins. It always has the home field advantage, because now is louder than later. Relief in this moment feels real and urgent. The reward of finishing feels distant and abstract. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it temporal discounting, the brain's tendency to shrink the value of anything in the future. The further away a reward is, the less real it feels. And here's the truly uncanny part. Brain scans suggest that when you think about your future self, the version of you who has to do the work or live with not doing it, your brain lights up, almost as if you're thinking about a complete stranger. Sit with that. When you put the task off until tomorrow, some part of you genuinely believes tomorrow is someone else's problem. You're not lazy, you're just handing the bill to a stranger you've never met, who happens to be you. Now here's where it turns into a trap. After you procrastinate, you don't feel free. You feel guilty. You tell yourself you're useless, undisciplined, that something is wrong with you. The shame piles on. And shame, it turns out, is not a motivator. It's gasoline on the fire. Because remember, procrastination is the brain escaping a bad feeling. And now the task is wrapped in an even worse feeling than before. Not just fear, but failure. Not just pressure, but proof that you've let yourself down. So the next time you approach it, the emotional threat is bigger, which means the urge to escape is stronger, which means you avoid it again, which means more shame. Researchers call this the procrastination doom loop. Avoidance creates shame. Shame makes the task more threatening. A more threatening task triggers more avoidance. The harder you beat yourself up, the deeper you sink. We try to punish ourselves into productivity, never realizing that the punishment is the very thing keeping us stuck. So if willpower isn't the answer, and self-blame only makes it worse, what actually works? It starts with something that feels almost too gentle to be useful: self-forgiveness. In one study, students who forgave themselves for procrastinating before an exam went on to procrastinate less before the next one. Not more, less. When you drop the shame, you diffuse the bad feeling. And without the bad feeling, there's nothing left to run from. The second move is to shrink the task until it's no longer scary. Your brain isn't afraid of writing one sentence. It's afraid of writing the whole book. So don't commit to the book. Commit to opening the document. Commit to 2 minutes. Make the first step so small it's almost laughable, because the feeling can't object to something that tiny. And here's the quiet secret underneath it all. Starting is the hard part, not continuing. The dread lives entirely in the moment before you begin. Once you're a few minutes in, the storm clouds usually clear on their own. Motivation, it turns out, doesn't come before action. It comes after it. The third move is to make your future self real again. Picture them, not as a stranger, but as you, tonight, tomorrow morning. The one who will either breathe a sigh of relief or carry the weight you handed them. You're not working for a productivity score. You're being kind to someone you'll become. So the next time you catch yourself avoiding the very thing you love, pause. Don't ask, "What's wrong with me?" Ask, "What am I feeling right now that I'm trying not to feel?" Because that's all procrastination ever really was. Not a flaw in your character, not a lack of willpower, just a small, frightened part of you trying to protect you from a feeling. Fear of failing, fear of not being good enough, fear that the thing you love most might prove you're not who you hoped to be. It was never laziness. It was care. wearing the disguise of avoidance. And the strange, freeing truth is this: you don't beat procrastination by becoming harder. You beat it by becoming kinder, by forgiving the delay, by shrinking the step, by remembering that the future you are protecting is real and is you. You were never running from the work. You were running from a feeling. And feelings, unlike willpower, can be understood, can be softened, can be sat with, until they finally let you begin.